Good morning. Good morning, everyone. How are you? Can you see me all right? Can you hear me all right, guys? Those who are watching me live, just very quickly let me know so that we can begin with today's edition of Indian Express Explained. Okay, where we take a look at, say, the explained page of Indian Express plus the articles that are of utmost importance to you. Okay, so without any further delay, let's get started. Meanwhile, for those of you who are watching me live, just let me know if you can hear and see me all right. Meanwhile, this is the part where I tell you to go ahead and ask you to ask your doubts, any particular strategy related guidance that you might so require in the course of your preparation, right? And this is the part you choose to ignore. But nevertheless, this is where you will find me on Instagram. So the first topic that I have for you today, guys, this has been in the news, no? Recently. Bulbul Koda, good morning, guys. How are you? So what is the One Nation, One Student ID initiative of the Union government? Okay. So first we'll understand, say, the basics. What is it all about? Then we'll go ahead and analyze it. Okay. What are the challenges? But first, let's understand, say, what is the process? What is the part where you need to understand on the basics? Okay. So first, Apar. There's one more Apar, by the way, that runs in the government circles. For those of you who know about this, one is the Annual Performance Appraisal Report. Okay. This is, say, an individual, a civil servant or a government servant's annual report card of how he has worked. This is in terms of individual performance monitoring. Okay. APAR. Whereas this, what we are discussing today, is APAR. APAR. Now, what does this do? Automated Permanent Academic Account Registry. I'm good, sir. Coder, how are you? Okay. This is what APAR is. Automated Permanent Academic Account Registry. Now, it's very complicated. It sounds complicated, no? We'll just break it down. This is essentially like a FASTag. You have FASTag for cars, no? So this is like a FASTag for students. Okay. This is going to be filled with credits. Just like you fill your own FASTag with money, APAR you are going to fill with credits. Okay. This is like the particular, what do you say, a special ID system. You know, according to link to this ID is your complete history, your academic performance, you know, your, say, records that you have broken at, if say at Olympiad level or whatever level. Okay. Special courses that you have taken. All of that is linked now to a particular singular ID. So it's like a FASTag for students. Okay. Now it's part of the One Nation, One Student ID initiative. So you had this NETF, okay, the National Educational Policy 2020, that had a particular forum, an autonomous forum, an organization, which goes by the name of National Educational Technology Forum, NETF. Now the name tells you, no, National Educational Technology, which means they're going to have to do something with technology in education, and that's what they're seeking to do. So you see, as a part of this One Nation, One Student ID initiative, okay, so you have basically in this ID becomes your access to your EduLocker. Got it? Yes, academic bank of credits. That's also we are going to discuss, code, a good spot, right? So this is what we are going to do. This is essentially the portal. You log in with your APAR ID. Okay. And on this portal, you find that, well, the first important thing that you need to know about is that it has got its academic bank of credits. What are credits, guys? You must be in school, colleges, you must be hearing of credits now, right? So it's the same minimum number of hours you need to put in a week, certain predefined criteria, you know, a uniform criteria, standardization of, say, measurement of a student's ability, or say previous back history insofar as educational qualification is concerned, right? That is credits. You need to have that for, say, every course. You need to finish a certain number of credits so as to be considered, yes, competent in that particular course, and say then finally you get to graduate. Got it? So that is it. So this is the process. APAR is the ID. You log into the EduLocker, and the EduLocker has this academic bank of credits. Okay. So now this NETF, by the way, something to do with education and technology, correct? As the name indicates. So this is it. This has come up with the idea, in fact, the registry of entire educational ecosystem. Very key word to understand here now. Educational ecosystem, according to this policy, tells you that it's part of the students, teachers, schools and colleges. Okay. So now I went ahead and checked, say, the official document. Now tell me one reason. Is there a reason why parents are not part of this ecosystem? Because when you look at the involvement of parents in, say, the EduLocker, the One Nation, One Student ID initiative, okay. So the role of the parents so far is being given as an oversight, insofar as the privacy rights of the child is concerned. Correct? Is the guardian. Correct? Because eventually what is EduLocker? It's a digital initiative. So it means that you will have all those problems that come with, say, digital privacy online. True or not true? Yes? Again, you are dealing with minors in this case. School students, many of them, in fact, most of them will be minors. So you are dealing with the privacy right of a minor, right? So in that sense, the role of the parent is obviously that of the critical importance. They are the primary guardians. But when you talk about an educational ecosystem, would you agree that, say, any educational system that does not include, say, the parents, who are equal stakeholders in the, say, development of their child, right? That could be construed to be one of the, say, primary criticisms insofar as application of this is concerned so far. Okay, we'll go ahead and understand more in detail. But NETF, National Educational Technology Forum, it's an autonomous body, okay, set up under the Educational Ministry under the NEP 2020. So that is the primary focus, the main primary document. Yes, the source document of all of these initiatives is obviously the NEP 2020, which has laid down the overarching framework that the changes that you should have, say, in the Indian educational system. And thus you have these host of series of changes happening, which owe their origin to NEP 2020. Similar with this also, okay. Even the One Nation, One Student ID has come as a product of NEP 2020, which looked to address those critical gaps, Those critical gaps are to be filled with technology. Now, how will Apar help? So this is it. Each student will have an Apar ID, okay, linked to the academic bank of credit, which has information about all the credits that you have earned, okay. Now, this will be a lifelong ID, which means right from, say, primary, pre-primary, up till, say, at least PhD level, okay. It's your entire history, entire educational history. So for students, you are going to go ahead and store, yes. It's obviously a repository of all your academic history. So good, fine. Now, if you are transferring from one school to the other, so no more that you get TC lao, ye karo, wo karo. It's just a simple ID is there. Everything can be done online. So yes, streamlining of processes is happening. True. Okay. That is obviously the primary agenda here, to streamline the educational system. Correct? Sarvesh, good morning. How are you? Now, the Apar enrollment. Sorry. So let's look at it. First, you give the basic info. Now, this data is to be cross-verified using their Aadhaar number. Remember, I told you that you are dealing with minors here. And that minors and their data protection, it's a sensitive issue. So this is reflected in the policy, guys. Let's look at it now. So this data of the students, it will be cross-verified using their Aadhaar number. But the students' sharing of the Aadhaar number is voluntary. Okay. You cannot say force the student to share their Aadhaar number. Again, minors, right? Look at it. Students have the choice to either accept or decline the sharing. Correct? For minors, parental consent is necessary. So in all the case, what you find is, firstly, this process is voluntary. Okay. This entire registration for an option for, say, a student X, whether the person wants an Apar right now or not, is completely his or her choice. And in case if the person X is a minor, then obviously it's the child's consent is deemed to be taken by the parent. Okay, to be taken from the parent. So it's the parent who goes ahead and informs whether, well, the child is going to be a part of the Apar or not, which is fair. Okay. Now, understand this problem though. So it's a process that is going to happen in our schools and colleges, right? Now, who is going to be responsible for the enrollment? It's going to be the teachers, right? The teaching staff, say the non-teaching staff, both. Now consider this. In our educational system where teachers are already overstressed, you have government school teachers who are hugely overstressed, not just by academic duties, but by non-academic duties also. So the addition of one more, say, non-academic duty, okay, Can that overburden our already burdened teachers? You should go ahead and ask yourself that too, right? So this is the problem. Who is responsible for enrollment? Who will do it? If it's the teachers, well, it's overburdening them. Who is responsible for it? Correct. Now the concerns surrounding Apar, besides obviously number one, overburdening of teachers. Besides this, let's look at the others. So several parents and students have expressed, well, that personal information. This is a fear that is genuine. It is not rooted in any bias. It is genuine because again, you're dealing with the sensitive demography here. Sensitive info of what? India's future, right? India's children. And that is at stake here. So obviously, that the data protection laws need to be absolutely sacrosanct and highly and tightly implemented insofar as this policy is concerned. Okay. We have recently passed also a data protection laws. Now the government has assured that this data will remain confidential and it will not be shared with anyone else except such entities that are involved in educational activities. One example that is given is the District Information System for Education Plus database. Okay. So again, this needs to be further defined. So which are the type of institutions that are involved in educational activities? That needs to be further clarified. Okay. Next, students have the option to cease sharing. So you want to get out of this whole data sharing model in the near future. Fine. And the data that has been so collected from your particular ID, well, that remains unaffected. Got it? So if you look at the broad concerns, it's to do with teachers, it's to do with privacy, and it's to do with data protection. Okay, but by and large, this is a system that is going to help streamline, say, the educational system to a large extent in India. Okay, so you have all of these cases of, say, fuzzy degrees and this and that, all of that being, say, touted for students from, say, other areas, the hinterlands, right? That is going to be taken care of hugely if this is implemented on a, say, equal basis throughout the country. Okay. Bhagyashree, Pranjal, good morning, guys. Are you able to grasp the importance of Apar here now? Okay. Let's look at this, guys, now. Thoda sa ye sawal dekhte hain. Which of the above is also known as the privacy judgment in India? The privacy judgment. Okay. So this case recently had come up. In fact, when you go ahead and study, in the past we have done this on this very class. The data protection laws. So the data protection laws owe their origin to one particular case, recent case, which is essentially called as the privacy judgment of India. The privacy judgment. Okay, so I just need you to identify me. Which case am I talking about? Okay, is it the Govindaraju judgment, the Puttaswamy judgment, the Gopalan judgment, or the Coelho judgment? Okay. Now the data protection laws in India are related to application of which directive principle of state policy? Okay. So if you have ever gone through your DPSPs, yes, you will see each of them is a set of, say, instruction to the state, right? Each of them is an instruction to the state, a non-obligation though, okay? It's not obligatory, correct? So which DPSP talks about, say, my data protection laws? Yes, broadly it does. So go ahead and have a look. Is it Article 40, Article 47, Article 48 or Article 38? Okay? Yes, you guys are correct. Bhagyashree Coder. Good. Leave your answers for me in the comment box, guys. Okay? I have around 5 questions for you. You will just leave your answers for me as you have been doing so far. Okay, before we go forward, if you would like to have access to this particular class's PDF, you will find this uploaded on this Telegram channel. I normally upload it, say, around 12 noon. Okay? So go ahead, scan this and become a part of the Telegram channel. Right? The next topic that I have for you comes from the Hindu, by the way. Okay? NEPA virus antibodies detected in bats in Wayanad, in Kerala. Now, essentially, this means, if I were to just break down for you, so what does this mean? So it means, say that, number one, well, my NEPA virus could be widespread. Okay? It could be widespread. We were thinking so far that yes, it is localized, but it could be widespread because again, its antibodies have been detected far from, say, the first case wherever it was lodged. Okay, and that there is a realistic chance that, say, it could go ahead and spread in a larger area. Okay, This is the two connotations of this statement. Now first let's understand NEPA virus. In the past we have again done this extensively. Just go ahead and say quickly revise for your convenience. It's how many times do you revise? Okay. So let's look at it. NEPA virus essentially is belonging to the same family as say mumps and measles. Okay. The same family as mumps and measles. Now the bats, the fruit bats, the most famous animal in the recent years. Okay. Now the fruit bats are essentially the reservoir. Okay, they are the reservoir of NEPA virus. What does that mean? That they carry the NEPA within them. That does not affect them. Okay. And then finally, when they go ahead and say they transmit it to some other animal, it then spreads out. So it's essentially, if you understand it, it's a zoonotic disease. What is a zoonotic disease, guys? We have done this in the past. What is a zoonotic disease? Those of you who are watching me live, very quickly let me know. It's a zoonotic disease. Okay. So this is it. It circulates freely among fruit bats. Doesn't cause any problems to the fruit bats. But you find that now you are finding that particular virus from other agents also. So goats, dogs, pigs, you are finding that virus can be lodged there too. Okay. Now, when you look at India's history with NEPA, the first case was in 2018 in Kerala. Okay. And the common trend in every outbreak of NEPA has been that it has been seen with high mortality. Wherever you have seen a NEPA outbreak, this is the first symptom there, that it is high mortality. It's a high mortality disease. Okay. Bangladesh, you had the mortality rate of in excess of 70%. Okay. Kerala had more than 91%. That's extremely high rates of mortality. Okay. But then there is another difference, and we will do this as I explained to you, that number 2, the other factor the other characteristic, may I say, that you need to know is that it is low or less contagious. Okay, and I'll tell you how. Okay, it is low or less contagious. So, it is less contagious, but then those who finally get infected with NEPA, there is a fair chance that fatality is a possibility. Okay. So now, let's go ahead and understand what exactly am I talking about here. First, while the mortality rate is highest for any known viral disease, okay, like I told you, it's very high, close to 90% is the mortality rate. What's important is that the virus does not spread efficiently from person to person. This is it, which is why you find that it is less contagious. Okay. So in terms of symptoms, well, NEPA's first onset is almost like a common cold. Okay. And then gradually the situation will worsen. Okay. Gradually you will have neurological manifestations that will arise because you have contracted that virus. And eventually, say, a person may slip into coma and finally pass away. Okay. So this is it. It starts off as a common viral fever, and eventually you have neurological manifestations, and then eventually fatality follows. Okay. So now let's look at the problems that we face in India. Number 1 is that the precise mechanism by which the index patient gets infected is still unknown. So index patient is, say, patient 0. The first patient to have got the infection. So how did that, say, when you talk about zoonotic diseases, which is essentially the transmission of a disease from animal to man or animal to humans, right? So who is that patient 0? Who is the first person to get infected from, say, a source, from an animal source? Okay. So how are you going to isolate him? Because what happens is that by the time, because again, it is the high mortality rate is high, that by the time the person's situation deteriorates, the person is already dead. Okay. And so it's very difficult to go ahead and isolate that particular patient. You see, the patient is invariably dead or incapacitated by the time investigation is launched. Thus, contact tracing. You know what contact tracing is. We have all heard and understood it during COVID-19 pandemic. The people you come in touch with in close proximity to whom you could have transmitted the virus, right? So that contact tracing is done to figure out, say, from one patient, how many others got infected. Correct? Now, this is a concept of R0, guys. Let's understand R0 very quickly. Okay. If I were to go ahead and explain R0 to you, let's look at it. बहुत आसान concept है. So here is R0, which means what? As an individual, okay, if you go ahead and transmit, say, 3 people out of 10, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay. So out of 10 people, you go ahead and infect 3 people, right? So in that case, your R0 is 0.3. But you go ahead and infect out of 10, say for example, you infect what, close to 8 people. In that case, it's 0.8. So what happens then? You say that, well, if your R0 is on the lower side, it means that eventually the disease dies out. So which means what? Say for example, 10 individuals here are able to affect only 3 people. This is a group of 10 individuals, by the way. Okay. So 10 individuals standing here eventually infect 3. 10 individuals standing here eventually infect 8. What happens here? In this case, it means that my disease finally dies down. It finishes off. The spreading rate is less. That's all that you need to know here. That's the concept of R0. Okay. So let's look at it. NEPA versus COVID-19. In COVID-19, your R0 was higher than 1. It was 2 to 3, which means 10 people, right, could infect 30 people. Whereas in NEPA virus, your R0 is 0.4, which means 10 people can infect it to only 4 people. Look at the downward trend here. Look at the upward trend here, right? Which is why we say our NEPA virus is less contagious, high mortality. Okay, clear? How NEPA is different from COVID-19 pandemic? Right? Okay, let's go ahead and answer these questions for me, guys, very quickly. Question number 3 and 4. Which of the above may be linked to fruit bats? Hendra virus, HIV/AIDS, Ebola virus, SARS-CoV-2. Okay, which of them is linked to fruit bats? And the fourth question, identify the correct characteristic of NEPA virus. Low mortality, less contagious, high mortality, less contagious, low mortality, highly contagious, or high mortality, highly contagious. Okay, you will leave your, once again, you will leave your answers to me, for me, in the comment box. Meanwhile, if you're understanding how we communicate it here, if you're understanding the concepts, please do consider leaving me a like. I'll be greatly appreciateful of that, well, your consideration. Okay, right? Chaliye aage badhte hain. Before we go forward though, here is a small announcement. I'm doing a small giveaway on my Telegram channel. Okay, because again, because of the appreciation of the students, we have crossed a certain threshold, which is why, if you would like to be a part of this initiative, if you would like to get some of the UPSC books, one of the UPSC books that is a part of the giveaway, well, head over to my Instagram channel. Okay, it goes by the name of Bhuvan StudyIQ. Answer this question in less than 50 words for me. Okay, which policy initiative would you like to change and why? And the top 5 answers. Okay, I initially decided 3, but the top 5 answers will go ahead and I'll be sending them books at their address. Okay, books related to UPSC prep. So if you would like to be a part of this, head over to my Instagram channel, as well, it's closing fast. The results come on this Sunday, 29th. Okay. Okay, the last topic that I have for you. International Solar Alliance to release report on global adoption of solar technology. In fact, on the 30th, you have a meeting that's going to be happening. Yeah. So in that, you obviously will have this report being released. And what you need to understand is this report is important. Firstly, the name of the report is Global Solar Stocktake Report. What does stocktake mean? It's essentially you are, say, going ahead and, well, taking stock. Yes, you are analyzing. You are taking a report card, looking at a report card, preparing a report card of how much progress you have made, what are the challenges, what are the pitfalls, what is the threat, what is the opportunity. All of that you're laying down, right? It's like a course correction, the move you make before the course correction. Okay. So this is the Global Solar Stocktake Report by the International Solar Alliance, headquartered right here in our very own Gurugram in Haryana. Okay. So this particular organization, led by India, obviously. India was one of the founding members alongside France, I believe, if I'm not wrong. Okay. So now this is similar to the global stocktake of the United Nations Conference of Parties. These fellows also came up with, well, the original Global Stocktake Report, which was again, say, analysis of all the progress that they had made insofar as, well, Climate 2030 agenda is concerned. Okay. How much is to be done? What is the progress? Okay. What are the problems of energy transition? All of that is mentioned before obviously COP28. This has come up, and this will form the basis of negotiations in COP28. Okay. So now aim is to track progress made by the countries in the solar energy sector and the trends. So what is the trend so far? So in the last say 4 years, okay, what you find is that an upward trend in energy investment is being seen, solar energy investment. But the key fact you must note here is that most of the investment is going to China. Okay. Now, when you look at, say, the tropical countries, you also would realize that, well, you're looking at some of the most poorest countries in that tropical region. Okay. So, when you look at, say, countries in Africa, okay, or you can look at countries, say, in South America, in the Caribbean, right? All of the countries which could ideally benefit the most in terms of the impact, the social impact of the investment. Okay. One is obviously, say, the economic impact. But more importantly, when you look at the social impact of your investment, this will be most felt and most benefited by this particular group here, the African continent, the South American continent, and the people of the Caribbean. Correct? Vikrant, good morning. How are you? Okay. So let's look at it now. The Global Solar Facility. Now this is also going to be launched by the International Solar Alliance, right? In this very meeting that's going to happen. Aim is to help reduce the remaining constraints related to contract and financing for solar energy projects. So it's essentially like a fund. Okay. They are going to go ahead and give money to those countries or organizations, right, that are engaging in sustainable energy development, right? So if you are facing any particular, say, financing issue, then well, this is like a fund that is going to give you the money. Okay. And what you find is here, the primary focus area is Africa, right? This is again, the opportunity is there. Since China is already receiving most of the funds from, say, the private investment. So now this is going to address the other side of the gap. So the areas that are not receiving the money from private investments are going to be serviced by the Global Solar Facility. Okay. It will have 3 funds: Payment Guarantee Fund, Insurance Fund to mitigate projects, and Investment Fund for technical assistance. Okay. So one is obviously a Payment Guarantee Fund. Okay. Then you are looking at project risks and insurance fund, and then just an investment fund that will go ahead and look for, say, funding for some specific projects. Simple. No aisa big deal here. Okay. Let's look at these questions, guys. 5 and 6. Let's go ahead. Question number 5. Solar irradiance is the solar energy received on Earth. Statement B. Electromagnetic radiation given off by the sun comprises infrared, visible, and ultraviolet light. Which of the above is correct? Okay. Question 6, I believe. This has been well done. Question 6. It is an arc of gas that erupts from the sun's surface. What is it? What am I talking about? Is it solar flare, solar wind, solar prominence, or all of the above? Okay. Go ahead and answer these questions for me too in the comment box. And here is a bonus question. Okay. Go ahead and, well, tell me the different zones of the sun starting from the innermost to the outermost. So you have the chromosphere, the photosphere, right? Go ahead, trace all those 4 zones of the sun from the innermost to the outermost. This will be your question 6B. Like I always tell you, after my classes, all you need to do is spend 5 minutes researching on what I have mentioned, reading up on what I have mentioned, and your topic gets completed. Okay. So go ahead, answer this to me. The zones of the sun. All right. Okay. So before we go forward, these are the questions of yesterday. Chalo fatafat, let's take the look at them. Chairman of SEBI is nominated by the Government of India is true. RBI has no representation on the SEBI board is incorrect. RBI does have a member, in fact. Okay. So the correct statements here being A only. Right. Investment advisors are registered with the SEBI. Absolutely correct. So you have investment advisors plus research analysts who go ahead and will they give advice to individuals, to companies, to organizations. Okay. And they obviously have a conflict of interest. If they have a conflict of interest, then they will inform you. Right. But in case of financial influencers, well, no conflict of interest, which is why that ethical concepts arises, which is why you have SEBI that is looking to regulate them. Okay. The 2023 consultation paper discourages investment advisors from any form of association with financial influencers is absolutely correct. The incorrect statements here being nota. None of the above are incorrect. Question number 3. Ethics Committee, Privileges Committee, Estimates Committee, Rules Committee. Which of the above have a total of 15 members? Well, Estimates has 30 members. Correct. Estimates has 30 members, Rules has 15, Privileges has 15, Ethics has 15. So you have answer is A, B and D. Yes, simple questions, guys. Okay, question number 4. No minister can be a part of the Committee on Public Accounts and Committee on Public Undertakings is absolutely true. Correct. Well, public accounts, you're looking to go ahead and say hold the government responsible, accountable. But what part of the policy are you looking to hold the government responsible for? You are not looking at the policy, you are looking at the application of the policy, the thought process, the prudence of the policy. Okay. So while this is true, the Committee on Public Accounts can question the policy as well as the application of the policy is incorrect. It can only go ahead and look at the application of the policy, not the policy itself. Right? So 4's incorrect statement here being B. Right? So these are my individuals. Like always, I'm always happy to see repeat names here. Vidisha, Tanvi, Satyabrata, Neeraja, Revisit, Monica, Harshit, Mandeep, Shubham, Coder, Akhil, Ayush, Rahul, Akshay and Target CSE. Well done, guys. Good. Good. Happy to see your participation and say your continued faith in this project that we do. Okay. To the rest of you, I implore you, go ahead and answer the questions that I have for you today. Okay. Many of you have asked me that can we go ahead and have a regular CSAT paragraph? I am considering that. So on Monday onwards, we will have a CSAT paragraph too on a daily basis so that you can go ahead and practice that too. Okay. Right. Let's conclude it. That's all for today. I'll see you Monday morning on in the next edition of Indian Express Explained. Till then, have a productive weekend. And before logging off, do consider liking this class as well as taking part in the giveaway on my Instagram handle. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a productive weekend. God bless you all.